Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Supernatural Substation. I'm Alyne Pustanio, your host, and with me is my co-host extraordinaire, Miss Bernadine Richardson. Say
Hello,
hey.
everyone. Hey,
There she is from Bayou Country. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Ready for
Good to
Christmas.
hear. You ready for Christmas? I was going to ask you.
Oh, yeah. Shopping's done. Just have to do all the baking. Fun.
Are you cooking? Are you cooking a turkey?
No.
Now, I remember we had an episode where you told us about your turkey adventure, so I don't know if you're going there again with anything.
No.
You are
No.
a hell of a baker, though, I can tell you.
Yeah, if I could find someone to do the cooking, I can do the baking.
Yep. Yes, you make delicious desserts, I can tell you. I have some memories of them still with me. Anyway, yeah, it's
You
that
can
season.
tell me
I
Yeah.
just got like I just got all my shopping, like food shopping done. I've got everything, except
Mhm.
there's these two items nobody has. I've got to go all over creation looking for like this one spice and some one other thing. I can't remember. Oh, like it was a marshmallow cream, y'all. Walmart's out of marshmallow cream. I'm just going to tell
What?
you. They are done with the craft There's none. There's none. I mean, I couldn't find
Crazy.
any. And, it's always an adventure in Walmart. Not always a good one either. So I've been everywhere. So I'm just abandoning what I need it for. But anyway, yeah, we're doing the family thing, getting ready to eat for, a beautiful meal and then go, oh my God, I ate too much and I'm fat. But anyway, so yeah, we have we're going to have on board tonight our friends, spirit guides, Marcus and Paul from Louisiana's Lake Charles. They're in the Lake Charles area, spirit guides. And I was at a convention called Fear Fest back in September, and that's where I met Marcus and Paul. They were there. They had come in, and so that's when we asked them to be on the show. And they're a couple of great guys, very unique. Um, Marcus is not only a paranormal investigator, but a ballroom dancer, which I have never met anybody who could dance that well. So, other than my parents, right? So that's something. And then Paul, well, I think he portrays himself as sort of the skeptic. So this should be a really good interview. They sent me some info from their Bayou. Listen to me, bios, bios.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and Lake Charles is nothing but a bayou. But no. So I think I'll read some of it. It says Marcus Bebee has been intrigued by the paranormal since childhood. His experiences have only fueled his desire to find out what lies beyond what we already know. As an accomplished professional dancer, he enjoys guiding his partners on the dance floor, but when the opportunity arises, he likes to guide in a different way, investigating the paranormal. He's the dancing paranormal investigator. And I think he should have his own show. Excuse me. He's actually teaching his son, Gabriel, to investigate, and establishing spirit guides is one of his greatest joys. While working on his degree in metaphysics is an important goal for him, seeking to find proof of the paranormal will always be his desire. For Marcus, the hunt continues. And we have Mr. Paul Fugatt, a Sulphur, Louisiana native, grew up in the country, hunting and fishing and learning how to work the land. His interest in the paranormal stems from his friend Marcus and childhood experiences. While being the skeptic of the group, he believes in the supernatural. Still, his main focus stays in finding the scientific reason behind all possible evidence found, thus keeping the team in check. The suspense of a hunt always excites him, and he hopes to see what others miss and maybe be able to prove that spirits do exist. He has a zest for life, stems from his love of family. As an integral part of the team, he keeps everyone focused and makes sure his duties as backpack guy are fulfilled. So he gets to carry all that. I know what backpack guy is
Uh-huh.
to a paranormal team, right? He's not
Yeah.
carrying everything,
Yeah.
everything except the ice chest.
True.
So So they're going to be joining us in a couple of minutes, and we're excited to have them here. They also have launched a show on YouTube, the Spirit Guides channel. They have now just started a third season. I've watched the first two and part of their new third season, and it's really good. Really good investigating. I recommend that you all watch it.
Gonna be an awesome show.
Yeah, and they do have they do promote themselves as welcoming guestigators. I think that's what they call them, guest investigators. So naturally, I told them that they have to have you because you're not only nearby, but you're like the lady over there with that.
Mhm.
With Louisiana State Paranormal Research Society. So you've had that team. How many years, Dean?
Uh, since 2008. That's when I found
Mm-hmm.
the team, and I was on a couple of teams before that.
I
Yeah,
remember that. I just remembered that. That's how we met at a convention. We met at BabelCon
right.
back in like 2007.
I was actually on a team. It's Southwest Louisiana Research Society or Research. It was so far back I can't remember, but they were from Lake Charles. Then
Mm-hmm.
I joined a team called Soul Seekers
Yeah.
in Louisiana, and I
Mm-hmm.
was with them for a while before I founded the Louisiana State Paranormal Research Society.
Right. You
Yeah.
started your own team, and I met you just right
Mhm.
before you did that. So, well, these guys are in your geographic region, and they're finding locations and stuff, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know Marcus said he'd love to have you join him.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, we're gonna welcome our guests pretty soon. So let's just get to it and bring the guys in. So let's bring in Marcus and Paul from Spirit Guides. You guys can unmute.
Hey,
Join the
how's it going?
conversation. Hey, Marcus, how are you?
Doing excellent. How are you?
Just great. Paul,
Hello,
how are you
everybody.
doing?
I'm
Hey,
doing great. How are y'all?
just good. Just great.
Hey
So,
guys.
welcome to our show. It's great to have you.
Well, we're excited to be here.
Um, how are you guys doing? You ready for the holidays?
I'm ready for it to be over. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I'm ready for it to be over too. Everything's done. It just needs to happen now.
All right. Well, I can't believe it's Christmas. I go into my living room every day and see a Christmas tree, and I'm like, why is that there?
Didn't
It's
that get
gonna
here
be.
really fast?
It did. It did. And I kind of think it's because it was like 1,000,000 degrees for so long, and the whole year. Like even everything is like butterflies are now flying around and flowers are blooming, and then we're gonna have our winter, which is February, and then all that's
All of
gonna die. But
all of a day
well,
and a half.
but you guys, Bernadine wasn't with me, but I met Marcus and Paul at an event in Mandeville called Fear Fest, which was our friend Howard Petrie put that on. And they were there, and I was there selling my books, and we just got to talking. And they're in the Lake Charles area. So I said, yeah, Bernadine needs to get with them and get some investigations done. You ready,
Yeah,
Dean,
we'd
for
love to
that?
have you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm always ready.
We're ready for that, and I'm ready to get you guys over to New Orleans. So hopefully in the new year, we'll have you over here and
Absolutely.
we'll have some investigations. So
Absolutely.
I've been watching you on your YouTube channel, and I wanted to just maybe let you guys talk about how you got together, how you started, and where you're at with the team now, and some of the investigations. Just let's talk all about it. So Marcus, why don't you start?
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I have been doing this since I was a child. Like most people, I had an experience as a child that I couldn't explain, and I I wanted to pursue that and find out what it was. Paul and I have been best friends for 20 something odd years. And 2019, I think, Paul, correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
2019. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got asked to go and investigate a place in Sulphur where he lives, and I asked him if he wanted to go with me, and here we are. And our team is ever evolving and growing, and we have a show on YouTube that's growing, and it's just everything is just wonderful. It's going exactly the way it's supposed to go.
Well, that's great. That's great. You have other members of your team who aren't here, right?
Yes, yeah, we have 3 people that are not with us right now on this conversation. But Paul, myself, and my wife Morgan are the OGs of the team.
The OGs. What's that?
The original group, the original team.
We're
Oh,
not here
okay.
for no terms, Marcus.
I don't know. I don't know paranormal. I don't know if that's some new paranormal designation.
No.
No,
What's an OG? Uh oh. I don't know. So you guys have been, I mean, you've obviously had enough, to make 3 seasons of a YouTube show, but I know that you haven't been filming it since the beginning, or were you? Were you like,
no.
no, so you've done a lot more investigations than just what's basically up there.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Me alone. Yes, ma'am. Paul and uh, I think everything that we've done is on camera, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
You
every
mean,
trip I've been on, every investigation I've been on has been on camera, and then Spirit Guides has been on a couple investigations I was not able to make in the last 3 seasons.
oh, I see. I see. And I see also, I was looking at your bio, you're the skeptic, Paul, of the group. Are you still skeptical? I see you believe in
Ye-
the supernatural, but
I
where,
I keep I keep Marcus grounded. How about that?
That's good.
that
That's a
you're,
true
yeah,
statement.
you're
We all
Bernadine
need.
to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody needs it. That's what Dean does to me.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, wait, it's got to be this. It's some, I don't know. I'm a big folklore and medieval lore enthusiast, and so I know all about the old demon. It's got to be this. It's got to be this. And Dean's like, no, it's got to
Yeah.
be fairies. No,
I'm
somebody's got to be the dreamer.
right where I'm coming from is I believe it's possible, but I also need it to slap me in the face. I'm not gonna look at something and be like, oh well, that's got to be what it is because I don't understand it. I want to know why. I want to prove or disprove.
So, do you have an example of that? Like something that's happened to you?
Uh, God, I knew you were going to ask questions like that. One of our original hunts, I think it was the second one we did, was it was an old abortion clinic in Shreveport that is now a drug rehab clinic.
Mm.
And at the very beginning, while Marcus was doing the open interview with the people that work there and everything, while they were going through, they walked through this room, and when they went to the next room, because it's a drug rehab place, while they're doing counseling, they have, the people's kids have a place to go and everything. And one of the toys in the kids' room just went off on its own.
And there was,
So, yeah,
Now,
so,
mind you, we
it
had
was
been in that room for
That was like a
approximately
battery
an
operated.
hour filming.
It was a
but then
battery
right.
operated.
it finally went off. Then, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah. After they left the room, they were in there interviewing, doing all that. Well, they moved to the next room, and when they went in the next room, one of the toys, a battery operated toy, started making, like somebody was playing with it. So we
Hmm.
went back in, found out what toy it was, and it was on, but it was turned on, but it was in sleep mode. So we turned it off, and we said, okay, if something did this, come back and do it again. Well, later on in the night, completely different toys started going off.
And
Really?
we call those trigger objects, right?
Yes, but on that one, which to this day Marcus thinks that I just read too much into it, because I spent like the entire hunt fixated on that one subject, and I would go in there and I would film it and I would pick it up when it would go off and it would make the same noise every time, and then I would go over and mess with it and be like, okay, do it again, and I'd sit and wait, and about the time I gave up and walked away, it would go off again. So I started investigating. I pulled up the toy on the internet and everything. And on the internet, it says, if the toy's played with and then it's left alone, to save the battery after 2 minutes, it shuts down. And when it shuts down, it plays the sound doo doo doo, and then it shuts down. So I've wrote it off as that. Marcus still thinks that something was going on. So that's been an ongoing controversy between me and him for the last 3.5 years.
You
Oh.
couldn't find any explanation, and that kind of.
Memories.
Well,
I'm sorry, you broke up?
I was saying, you couldn't find an explanation for what it did, and so I guess that kind of challenged your skepticism, when you couldn't get it to respond, right? I mean,
Right. It just, it seemed like about every time I gave up, which, I am severe ADHD, so 2 minutes is about my attention span. So about the time I'd walk away was when it would go off again. So once I looked it up, and that toy manufacturer has that, and I'm like, oh well, that's what it is. Well, Marcus is like, is that what it is? Because I don't think that's what it is. So like I said, it's been a controversy since. Me and him fuss about it with each other.
I have a question for Marcus.
Go ahead.
You there? You had mentioned that the way you got into the paranormal field is things that happened to you when you were younger. And Alyne and I both have that. And this is why we do what we do today and for many years. I experienced things when I was a child that I couldn't explain. Paranormal stuff, shadow spirits and, things yanking at my blankets and spirits passing through the room and all the things we experience. Well, that's what got me into what I do. We both, Alyne and I, have had family that were into the dark occult arts, voodoo, things like that.
Wow.
And that's probably why we experienced what we did as children, because we had to. I mean, you don't have choices as children when your family's doing these things, seances and the works, So back, I'm not going to say our ages, but way back then, the only way for us to research things when I got, to be a teenager was the library, books. Right. We didn't have the internet and things back then. And I was just wondering, what type of things did you experience as a child that kept you, engrossed in the paranormal to be who you are today? Do you help people with problems like that? I mean, I try to give
I'll answer both of those questions. The first answer is, I grew up on 85 acres, and there was a lot of it was a ranch. We worked cattle and horses and everything else, and but the house that we lived in was very small, and there were things that came to me in my room at night. One of which was a brown figure that crawled around on all fours in my room. And one night, while I was getting cleaned up for the night, something opened up the door to the bathroom, and it was very short. It was like 2 foot tall. It was greenish, grayish, and it had long ears and it had long teeth. And many years later, 2020 actually, I was speaking to a man from Mexico who was a witch, and he asked me this very question, and I explained the exact same thing to him, and he told me without hesitation, he said, "Oh," he said, "that's a troll. I know those."
Hmm.
And so, true or false, I'm not sure about that statement, but I do know that what I saw was very real, and it was a very real experience that to this day has impacted how I look at life and how I look at the things we encounter doing what we do. So, like Paul, I want to know, I want to see, I want to know, I want to learn and explore and understand. We just take a little bit different approach to it in our views.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
second question, yes, we do. We have helped people. I'll give you a really good example. There was a family who adopted a niece because the father of the niece had died, and so the lady adopted her niece, and her niece was seeing things in her room and having conversations with people in her room who were not there. And so my team went over and Paul and myself especially, found a couple of things in the little girl's room that were not supposed to be there. And everybody assumed that it was the father because his ashes were in the home. But it was not the father. There was a couple of things in the room that we figured out. We got the names and we got a couple of hints as to what they may be or why they might be there. And so, talking to the family and giving them some ways that they can cleanse the home and help try and drive some of this out. And they did such. And I don't know, a month later, I asked, just to check on them, and they said that everything was much better. So I feel like we helped them for sure.
Awesome.
Were those spirits or those entities the typical ghosts, or were they too sort of like monsters, I guess, or something, something that not wasn't human? Is that what she was experiencing?
One claimed to be Samantha, and it was a female. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that that was a female spirit that had been caught. They live next to water, and as you know, water is a conduit. So
Yeah.
the the female spirit, I believe, was trapped there for whatever reason. The other thing we really couldn't get any information from, but it did not feel friendly and it did not feel human.
Yeah.
But on the same thing, I don't think anything sinister.
Just yeah, it was something that I talk about sometimes about demons. Let's say is that in their reality where they're just at home. It's like you being at home and you act the way that you do, and everybody, all the other demons pretty much are not affected by that because they're all in their element. It's when we experience them in physical reality that they take on, they're just doing their thing, but we feel them
Right.
as intrusive and evil and threatening. So, it may be just a spirit, who's wherever its home is or wherever its origin is, it's just doing what it naturally does. But to us, we perceive it as frightening, and it isn't evil necessarily. It's just wow, we're experiencing the side of it that we can't see it, we don't understand it. So a lot of times, people have to remember that. And water, yeah, if there's slow moving water around, and if anybody's drowned in that water, but especially if it's slow moving or if it's ponds or something like that, and it can trap spirits. And the old saying that the drowned want company is actually really true. They do lure people to join them, and to their death. So, but I used to, when you said troll, it kind of reminded me of something that happened to me when I was a teenager. We moved in. We had a house that we built from the ground up. I don't know how your home was, the one you were talking about, your childhood home, but we built it slabbed and pylons all the way to the top, to the roof and everything. And there was nothing like it. There was no history to it.
Right.
But we learned later that there was history to the land, but we were the first people in there. And so my mother was involved in a lot of that, the sort of first rush of, Hans Holzer and the Warrens, and all of that was going on while she was interested. She started getting into meditation and New Age stuff. And, so these things, basically the things that she was engaging in, and joining other people for seances and going for readings, tarot, pendulums, just going for scrying and all these things. I mean, because I was in school, I don't know what she was doing with her time, and then I'd find out. But one night I was laying in my bed in my room, and I used to leave the radio on, because it had a green, like a dial. It would light up like a nightlight, and I would always open my door when I went to bed, because I usually had a typical teen, I was in there. But at night I'd open my door, and one night I woke up, every morning the door was shut. Doesn't matter if I opened it, it would be shut. But this night I woke up in the middle of the night, and I looked toward where the radio was against the wall, and there was this thing that came creeping out of the darkness, just like you described, Marcus. But it was kind of like the Crypt Keeper look, but a little bit more like scaly, more like a sort of a cross between him and something reptilian. And it was reaching out with its hand, its clawed hand, and I'm wide awake. And its clawed hand reaching for the dial on the radio to turn it off. And I zoomed out of the bed on the other side of the bed. I don't know how quick, and ran. I just ran out of my room and put lights on the whole way, and then finally went back in there. But, those kind of things just, and they would just show up. And I was in that age, where you're like, just coming out of adolescence, and you're a teenager, and so you've got all this energy, and it wasn't necessarily any kind of poltergeist activity, but it was mom doing all this stuff, bringing it in the house, and me experiencing that. So, and I'm sure Dean had some stories like that as well, but I know you guys are. You can do deliverance now. I don't know if it's deliverance. I read what you said, that you'll help, but do you do like a deliverance ministry or anything like that?
So I am an ordained minister. I
thought so. I'm sorry. I remembered you saying that. I thought so, Marcus.
Yeah, I have personally and on my own taken part in things like that, major undertakings like major cleansings. My team, however, has not done anything collectively as such. And while I would probably attempt it on my own, I would not like to if I don't have to.
I don't blame you I don't blame you there. No. I mean, some of the things there's delivery, and then there's prayers, and then there's some some of the hauntings that Dean has investigated turned out to where you could use, right, Dean? You could use like sage and just some natural things, bring it into the environment, and sometimes that helps. But sometimes it's like, it's the Catholic exorcism. That's what you need, When all else fails, you got to go get them, right, Dean? I mean, because you've had cases where you've just brought in some natural stuff, and it's kind of like either driven it away or calmed it down, right?
Yeah, we do. If it's nothing major, and it makes the clients feel better too. If they're afraid to do a sage ritual, we do our prayer before we start an investigation, and when we leave, because we really don't like bringing things home, which we have. There's no guarantee. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever had clients that call you when they have no other place to turn? They've exhausted all of their resources. They all stay in the living room, like they're all living in the living room, the whole family, because they're afraid to go in any other part of the house.
So the first investigation Paul went on with me was in this house in Sulphur, and that was their claim, was that they were all sleeping in fear in the living room. The children were not staying at the house with them anymore because they were afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul can vouch for this one. The place did have some activity. Don't get me wrong. There was something there. But what was there, in my own personal opinion, I think mostly they brought on themselves. And their their usage of recreational narcotics,
Substances.
yeah, were aiding in that fear and in that what they were seeing. So while we went and we did do an investigation and we did do a small cleansing at the end of the night, I personally don't believe it helped. I don't think that it was going to help.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they
Uh,
ended,
go
I've
ahead,
had
Paul.
more.
they ended up moving shortly after that.
Oh,
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
yeah. And
there were
what's sad is
people.
the energy stays in the place. The
Yeah.
energy left behind.
But
I
you said that
I
there were
think
drugs
I
involved, or
think
there were people.
I'm sorry. I think what was going on there was solely there because they manifested it there through their extracurricular activities.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Because that'll do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and because anybody that's doing drugs, typically around them, right? There's spirits that can't get that high anymore, and they're around them all the time, trying to live off them and get that vicarious high.
Yeah.
So,
And that
anybody
they
else? Go ahead, Paul.
they had some outlandish claims of a fire that was started out of nothing in the home. They did have a very interesting video that we were watched on their iPad, and it was we could not really fully debunk that.
What
I
was in
don't
it?
think.
Can you tell
It
us about
was
it?
it was a video that a friend of theirs shot on their iPad while he was there. It was showing the driveway in the car, and it was like this figure crawling along the ground from behind the car towards like a water puddle.
Oh, and what
But it
happened?
wasn't it wasn't a cat, it wasn't an animal, it was more of a shadow. And it we just couldn't figure out what it was. Marcus can maybe tell you more about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no again, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember it almost looked like the uh, a human crawling on all fours, but very blotted out and dark and shadowy.
Mm,
And the
Correct. Like
camera was,
almost I'm sorry, but it was almost see-through in certain areas. And then like
yeah,
you could see it crawling, but the entire arm wasn't there. It was like the arm was cut off at the elbows. You didn't see the rest of the arm, but you could tell that crawling motion.
wow.
right. And so
Mm,
that being outside leads me to kind of possibly think that there may be something connected to the land because it was not in the house, but
yeah.
I don't know that for sure.
Well, you watched it, and then what did it do? Disappear or crawl out of frame, or
No, so the camera, he was filming all kind of things outside and he was filming in the garage, and as he turned, you got a glimpse of it coming out from behind the car, and whenever he passed it and came back, it wasn't it gone, Paul? It wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, he was filming stuff that he thought was happening outside in the garage because he believed that he was seeing stuff. And when he turned around to he felt that he needed to turn around is what he said. And when he turned around, his iPad camera panned the car in the driveway, and you saw that, and he passed it up. And when he goes back in the video, there's nothing there. Just the car in the driveway, nothing else.
ew, that's creepy.
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't seen that.
It
No,
was
no, no.
creepy.
Well, that could be something for to involve with the land. But again, um, them engaging in that activity would draw that to them. I guess it would be like
Agreed.
them
Agreed.
something. Just yeah, you agree? Yeah, because it would just make it worse. So I mean, I guess they were right. They were seeing stuff. We weren't lying about that. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's creepy. I don't know.
That
So
was creepy.
and you Paul, you couldn't really explain it either, right?
No, there was, I mean, of course, it's only what 2 seconds worth of video, and you go through it. We rewound that and watched that probably 1,000 times, and it's just you're looking at it going, something's there. What is it? What could cause it? And you just couldn't figure out any of it.
Well, I see a lot of these YouTube channels. Well, they have the clips, and the compilations, and every millionth clip or so is actually a real capture. And there's so many, but there's so much, pixelation, and you can tell when they're kind of faking it. So I guess that wasn't an issue with this guy's capture, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was anything doctored. You could tell
Mm-hmm.
by, I mean, it's not something that he made up somehow. It was a true capture. We
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't explain it.
Yeah. And I guess it's so it probably the ghosts just followed them, or the entities just went with them where they went, because if they're still, if they moved out of it, or is the place still haunted, do you think?
That we're not sure. Now, we didn't talk about, we've got some, the house that they lived in, or like in the 70s and the early 80s, the guy that originally lived in the house was he a chiropractor, Marcus, that practiced in his house?
I want to
Or
say
was it a
he was some
regular
kind of
doctor?
a pediatrician, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was a rural doctor that practiced out of his house. So that's what drew us to it, because we thought maybe something happened through the doctor's office.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dean, you want to come in here?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, do you have anyone on your team that is sensitive to spirit activity?
That would be me.
That would be you.
I was going to say, yeah, it's Marcus.
And we've
Okay.
used somebody in the past. We had somebody that was a guest investigator that she lives in Shreveport, that has been on a couple of hunts with us.
Mm-hmm. And do
She's.
you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say she is considered a medium.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, good to have
Mm-hmm.
them. Do you guys ever feel like you've brought anything home with you?
I have
Well,
not felt that way.
Yeah, I have quite a few times. I even had a spirit that, the people call me in because the spirit would spoon the women when they slept. You know what I mean? Behind you
And getting
spoon.
bad with them. Oh,
Yeah. And I went and did an investigation there. And the next day I was taking a nap, middle of the daytime. My doors closed, locked everything. And I woke up to somebody spooning me, like laying right behind me, like a person right behind me. I was on my side, and I felt the whole body shape on the back of me. So I thought it was now my ex-husband, because I was fixing to get upset because I'm trying to take a nap. That's why I closed the door, but I forgot he wasn't home. He was offshore.
that's
So this
creepy.
happened in the middle of daytime. The same exact thing that happened to the women of the investigation that I did like days before.
That's creepy.
Yeah, and I tell my team, do not curse these things. You don't know if it's a child you're cursing at. Don't provoke and things. But I don't take my own advice when I'm upset. So
Yeah.
I'm in the house by myself in the middle of daytime trying to take a nap, and I feel somebody behind me spooning me. So of course I'm gonna jump out of bed and be an Italian woman, I'm going to curse the thing, you know? Get the hell out of my house. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, get out.
So,
Well,
Uh,
go on, Marcus.
we and Morgan and myself, we have experienced a couple of things in the house from time to time, but I black salt my windows and doors, and
Mm,
we salt sweep the house pretty regularly, and we cleanse. I like Palo Santo.
mhm.
Uh, so we do a lot of regular things to keep the house free of anything. So whenever I come home from an investigation,
Right.
whatever's hanging on me gets knocked off at the door.
Mhm. Mhm. And you don't do anything at the like at the site of the investigation. I mean, basically, like vinegar or salting, yourself or telling them you can't follow me home.
I do that, but I
Mhm.
also, and I don't recommend this to anybody. I don't ask my team to do it, but I also open myself up and invite them to use my energy. And, because I want the evidence, I want, for multiple reasons, but mostly because I want to experience it.
Mhm.
more like a channeler.
Um, yes, I would say yes, but I want them to use my energy to create movement or to manifest or to you know
Yeah.
can do. I want to know what you can do.
But not actually speak through you, because that might freak you out.
Yeah, I have not had that happen yet, but I would be
Yeah.
open to it.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know about that.
It kind of freaked
he
me out.
gets mad at me some
If a different
Marcus gets mad at me sometimes because I'll call him out and tell him I dare him to show me something.
What do you mean? You call out the spirits?
Yeah, I'll fuss at him for not doing anything. I said, I don't believe you're gonna have to show me something. Marcus is like, stop antagonizing the spirits.
Dot
Yeah.
dot dot. Because I'm opening myself up to Marcus. Like, don't piss him off. I'm telling him to use my energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been
He
a
always
Oh,
has a
there,
tendency to wait until I've opened up before he does that, though.
there's been a
yeah.
few times where I've been pissed off and be like, I don't believe in you. Prove me wrong. Come on, do it. And he's like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, well, you're right. He's right about that. But I mean, I get you're not like TV level provocation though. Like for example, Zach Bagans coming in and screaming. You don't do that. I mean, they seem like they're really disrespectful. A lot of the times, screaming, "Come on!" It's like I always say, it's like walking in somebody's house and screaming at them. They're sitting there in their recliner, and you're screaming at them, and it's like because that you're in their space. So I mean, I
Correct.
guess you do it respectfully, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. I know when we were in Shreveport and that toy was making noise, I was not being respectful.
Well, probably because you thought it was a toy mostly. I mean, it could, I mean, the first thought is
Well,
it's a malfunction with something.
right. And it seemed like it would, I'd be there filming, being like, okay, do something. I'm here to do it. And then nothing. And I'd walk away and that SOB would go like, I'm here. And I'd be like, son of a gun. And I'd go back over there and yell at it. It was a long night.
I bet it was. And it was going, why? And it's telling the other spirits, watch what I can do. I can make them come and go. Look, I'm just like a dog. Look,
Yeah.
you don't know what they're doing on their side going, look at these idiots. Always. But, I was, there was, one of your episodes was really interesting. It was the Bonnie and Clyde one I
Oh
watched.
yeah.
Y'all were in the garage with the car, and tell us a little bit about that, because that was really interesting. It was at the time I had just seen like something on TV about Bonnie and Clyde, and then your investigation popped up, and I was like, well, must be ESP or something. So how did you feel about that? I mean, and tell me too, both of you, about some of your favorites. Your favorite investigation. So, but tell me about the Bonnie and Clyde one.
Bonnie and Clyde, that was an awesome. So I love the history of what we do. I love learning about the old buildings and the old locations and
Hmm.
important events that happened. And Bonnie and Clyde was that's really one that I find really special because it was multiple things. It was a turning point in our show because I had just started taking filmography and cinematography classes
Hmm.
uh, and learning how to build a show. And Bill Thompson was there, and he was wonderful to work with. A great storyteller. But on the investigation, it was the coolest thing because Morgan, myself, and then Brandy, the medium from Shreveport, had come met us, and we were in the room in the museum, and we were talking uh, to Bonnie and Clyde, and I just mentioned, I said, I heard, Clyde, that you had other girlfriends besides Bonnie. Is that true? And a very clear female voice came across the S box and said, Clyde, like in an angry, long drawn out way. It was like Clyde. And then over the same S box, a male voice was shushing me, which I don't like people to shush me. And then from the back of the room, there was a long shushing sound. And so I went to the back of the room immediately. I'm like, what's back there? And there was nobody else in the room with us at all whatsoever. And that was just absolutely awesome.
Wow.
Um, and then at the end of the night, as you saw in the episode, at the end of the night, we were at the kill spot where they were shot.
Hmm.
And we were in the middle of the road. And Bill said to Bonnie, he said, your niece, I forget her name, but she is trying to have Bonnie's body moved to be buried next to Clyde because that wasn't allowed, and that was what she wanted. And then over the speaker, you hear thanks by two different voices, a male and a female, and that was really awesome.
Yeah, it
So that
was.
that investigation really touched my heart. I really enjoyed that one.
I liked it. I enjoyed it too. And y'all were out there at the spot where they got shot, or they were ambushed, basically. I mean, there's such, I don't, some people look at them like Robin Hood type figures, other people not. But I mean, I like them because they died here in Louisiana, basically. And it's,
Yeah.
something we can claim. But yeah, that would be great. What about you, Paul? Do you have a favorite investigation? Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, I'm torn. I have
Thought I
my
lost
favorite
you.
invest.
Thought I
I'm sorry. Do
lost
what?
you for a minute. No, I said I thought I lost you for a
No,
minute. That's all. No, go ahead.
no. Um, I I have two really. My favorite investigation where I think you know, we didn't get a lot of answers, but we got a lot of information was Axe Theater here in Lake Charles. We had multiple. We haven't really discussed this, but we bring with us people that are interested in this, and we call them guestigators on our show. So we'll invite people to hunt with us that want to hunt, or maybe somebody that's tied to the location we're going to hunt, and we take them on the investigation with them, and we call them our guestigators.
Yeah.
Well, for the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was telling Bernadine she needs to be a guestigator.
Yeah, investigator.
Right.
Definitely.
I like that.
But so we were at the theater, so we had multiple people that we had some of the actresses, and then the director of the theater was there that night. So we had multiple people there with us that night.
Hmm.
And through our S box and through digital recordings from multiple people on the investigation, we got the same names. So that's more of a concrete thing that something was trying to communicate with us, because through with multiple people asking questions and a couple of different devices, we ended up with the same names multiple times that night.
That's
Investigation
awesome.
too. I remember that one. That was a really good one.
Which,
I,
And
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay. And the other one, the other one that I really liked, we went to, oh, I'm going to butcher the name. Wilson County Courthouse in Floresville, Texas. Is that right, Marcus?
Yeah, that's correct. Floresville, Texas.
Okay, I thought I was going to butcher the name of the town, but it's Floresville, Texas. Wilson County Courthouse is, courthouse been there 100 years. Courthouse slash jail. We actually went there uh, at a real pivotal time in my life. The first time we actually went to hunt there was in April of this year, and we were literally an hour into the investigation, and I received a phone call while we were there. I'm sorry.
You
Thought I could
okay?
talk about
Sorry.
this, but I thought I could talk about this, but I can't.
Okay.
Tell them what
So,
happened.
so we had set up, and it was the Wilson County Jailhouse.
Mhm.
And there's a little preface to this. The first time we went to Texas was Yorktown, Texas, and the night before, Paul ended up in the hospital,
Mm.
and he wasn't able to make that investigation. And the second time we went to Texas was this investigation at Wilson County Jailhouse, and we had set up, and we had investigators come in from San Antonio, and we had been approximately an hour investigating, and his phone rang, and it was his sister, and she could not get a hold of his mom, and her friends couldn't either. And through some phone calls and people go and check on her, his mom had passed away that day.
Oh, oh no. I'm so
And
sorry
so
about that.
we shut the investigation down, packed up, and we drove back at 10 o'clock at night or whatever time it was.
Mhm.
And
10:30,
and so that
and then
yeah.
and it was 6 hour drive.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm
Okay, I'm
sorry
sorry.
about
I'm
that.
better now. I'm better now. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. No.
But anyway,
Mm-mm.
so something out there does not want me hunting in Texas. How about that? some some very life-changing moments have happened every time we go to Texas. But
Wow.
after and I apologize for the breakdown, but
No. Don't.
uh
No, no, no.
several months later we were able to rebook that trip, and we were able to go back and hunt. So to me, that's a special one. We had a really good team with us the second time. Some of the people that are curators of the jail, because it is a historical place now, and they it's like a museum. They were with us, and we had a lot of activity, and it was just going back and investigating it the second time after what happened. Just really opened my heart and just made me feel at ease about everything going on. So I think that helped me heal over time.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
just that little town in itself, just us being able to do this and go to these little towns that have these historical, it's all historical, and we love that part of it. Hearing about, in that jail that they hung a person in the jail, and you hear the story where he was walked out of his cell, and the noose is right there outside of his cell, and when they went to release the door, something jammed and he didn't fall through. So the sheriff goes to get the guy, and the guy had a knife or something and ended up stabbing the sheriff. So they had to rush the sheriff to the hospital, and then one of the deputies ended up hanging the guy right after that. So it's, you hear all these stories, so there's trauma in these places, and that has to stick around. So it's just really interesting to me.
Yeah. Do you research? How do you get places? Do people contact you? Um, or do you do some research and then you contact the places, or how does that work?
That goes both ways.
Uh-huh.
We'll hear about a place, or somebody will contact us. Homes, usually people contact us.
Mhm.
Um, bigger locations like the Calcasieu Parish Courthouse or the Wilson County Jailhouse, those places we usually hear about through the grapevine and we'll call them. One really cool thing that happened to us this year, though, was, and I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway, our final episode of season 3 is at Myrtle's Plantation. And of course, everybody wants us to go to Myrtle's Plantation. Everybody wants to see Myrtle's because it's the famous place.
Yeah.
And we actually contacted a friend over there, and Myrtle's contacted us and asked us to go. So that was really awesome. We
so
didn't.
that's going to be the season finale for your current season?
Yes, that will be the season finale. Yeah.
That's good. So I'm not going to have you spoil any. I've got a couple to watch, so don't spoil it for me, okay? I don't want to know. But so I mean, everybody knows about the Myrtles, but there's some places that so you basically like kind of tap the grapevine, or you hear it by word of mouth or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of it is by word of mouth. A lot of it is people contacting us. Like I say, the bigger locations, we usually kind of reach out to Yorktown Hospital. I reached out to them and we got to go investigate that place, which was personally one of my favorites. And that's one of the only times on camera that you will see me provocation. And it was not the best experience, but it was an awesome experience. What happened to me by using provocation, so I'm not a Zach Bagans. I don't want to be a Zach Bagans.
No,
but,
yes.
But I also, don't mind calling out people for what they are. And
well, that's true, because I mean, death doesn't always improve people. I mean, just if they're bad people, and they're not improved by death. In fact, they get worse.
That's right.
A lot of them
bitter and angry.
They get better, and then they realize. It's a lot of times they don't realize what they can do. But the ones that do realize what they're capable of, once they get on the other side, those are the ones you got to worry about, because they refuse to pass on and they want to stay here and they cause trouble for other people, so, but so what's like for you, this is for you and Paul, what is your like, what's one place you really want to, like what's a goal, or what's one like ideal place you'd love to do an investigation?
Your bucket list.
Yeah.
Mine is super easy. It's Leap Castle and Hellfire Caves.
Oh, okay. Leap Castle in Ireland.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Hellfire is in Scotland, or I can't remember where they are.
Actually, right down the road from Leap Castle.
From Leap, okay, it's in Ireland. Oh, so you want to go to Ireland? Yeah. What about you, Paul?
I'm more about New Orleans. I want to go to Marie Laveau's, and then I cannot remember. My mind just went blank when you asked. The one where the lady had the boarding house that killed the people upstairs, and I'm blank with the name.
Madame Lalaurie. The Lalaurie mansion.
Lalaurie.
Yes,
yeah.
That's exactly it. I want to do that one.
Well, somebody lives there now. I mean, we all know Nick Cage lived there for a while, and but it's a private residence, and
that's why it would be almost impossible. But that's, to me.
Yeah, but I think I might know somebody. I think I might be able. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I can work on that and see. But Marie Laveau. She's the other one.
Write that down. Alyne said she can get us in there. Just write
I didn't
that
say
down
it for sure. I said I may be able to.
I'm recording this. I got her voice. We got this.
Yeah, I know. It got me acting like a complete idiot. I don't know what I'm doing half the time on Discord. But I do know somebody, but I'd have to ask. I just thought of it, and let's just say previously I don't think I would have asked him, but now he's a little bit more nice, so we'll find out. But it's difficult because it's now a private residence, and But there are people that I know that have been in there, so I can see. I don't know about Marie Laveau. If you want to go to the grave that everybody says is her grave, it's in St. Louis #1, and several years ago, a man who was well intentioned. They figured out he had mental health issues, but he came in over the fence, and he took paint to Marie Laveau's tomb, or to the Glapion tomb, because the name on it is Glapion, and he painted it that Pepto-Bismol pink. And he painted another grave too. He's just doing it out of the goodness of his heart. But it was kind of, that's vandalism basically. But what happened was that the pink, it soaked into the old plaster, and it was like they couldn't just paint over it. It kept coming through, so they had to do a whole restoration of the exterior of the tomb. So that's when the Archdiocese and Save Our Cemeteries basically said nobody can come in here to see unless you have family or you're coming for a funeral. You have to have a tour guide with you, so you can only go on tours, and it's only open now for a very short amount of time for the tours. So the only way you could go to that grave would be, with a tour guide. But I'm not supposed to make promises, but I am of the opinion. But wait, I am of the opinion as a New Orleans resident that she's not even in that tomb. Okay, I know there's another grave, and so maybe when you guys come down here, we'll be able to do that. But we may need Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. I mean, it's bad. The crime is so bad in New Orleans right now. It's taking your life in your hand just to do that. You don't want to join the dead, for sure. But there's other places you can go, like, to encounter Marie Laveau. There were other places where she did rituals and stuff like that. And there's a lot of other people that you might find interesting. But we'll talk about that.
Everything about everything about the voodoo and all of that, and it being in New Orleans, in Louisiana, we're local. That's what drives me. That's where I want to go with it. And then you're talking about places that you want to go that is just dangerous. The Yellow Fever Cemetery in Shreveport is one that we would really like to do, but that's like drug central of Shreveport, so that's completely out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to do that one, though. I mean, even if we have to have a police escort for a few hours.
Yeah, find somebody that'll do maybe somebody who can come with you, like from your own local cop, somebody who's off shift and can do a detail. But Lep Castle, why do you want to? What makes you want to do that, Marcus?
I have wanted. So my heritage is Scotch Irish, and my grandfather. There's so many stories as with most families. My grandfather, the name spelling changed at some point, so my last name is not really my last name, but it is my last name. And my mom's dad was in the mafia, in the Irish mafia in New York, and so Ireland has always been a calling to me. And Lep Castle is just an awesome location. It is just wrought with activity, and there's supposedly an elemental that lives there that was brought on by the Druids, and it's always been on my bucket list. And if ever we have the opportunity to travel to Ireland, my wife said that we're going to be going for a vacation, but that she will allow me to investigate. So if we go for a week and a half, I get 2 nights where I can investigate Lep Castle and the Hellfire Caves. And those two have just been on my list forever.
I know you probably saw this. There was this documentary years ago about Lep. It was like the most haunted castles in Ireland, I think it was called, and that's where first heard about Lep Castle and the elemental, the thing that appeared
Yeah.
almost like looks like a sheep or a cross between a sheep and some unknown. Yeah, because that stuck in my mind. And they had the oubli. How do you say it? The oubliette, the little, the shaft, the hole where they oubliette. Oubliette. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
where they used to throw people.
Yeah, it's a French word. It means it's a place where you put things that you want to forget.
Yeah. And the guy that did it was Robert. I think his name is Robert Hardy. The guy that was hosting it, and he played a minister of magic. One of them, he was Fudge. That's it. He was in the Harry Potter movies. So he's still alive. But he does. It's so dramatic. It's like I want to go there. It's definitely he makes you just like really want to go. And it's like okay, well I got to pack up and leave. And the Hellfire Caves. I don't know. I think in Scotland. Or is it in Scotland? Yeah, I think it is. Covenanters Prison. Have you heard of that one? I mean, not prison, a graveyard.
Oh, yes, I have heard that one. Yeah.
And I think it's in Edinburgh, I think. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's it's the one that has the Covenanters, basically, who were like a splinter group of a religious cult type thing, or a breakaway from the even more strict Puritans, and they locked them in that cemetery, or they locked them up in that yard until they died. So that's one of the most active. But if you're going to talk Britain and Ireland, or England, Scotland, and Ireland, it's anywhere you go. It's almost literally anywhere you go. It's so old. I think I'll just add mine in here. And Dean is still here. You need to participate. But there's this one I saw. There's a church. It's called, I think it's Braswell upon some river. Okay, it's in Essex, and it's on the coast. And it's basically a big square building. It's a church that was built on the foundations of a Roman fort. And this thing is like hell and gone. Like there's no road that leads up to this church, and it's still an active church. There's no road that leads up to it. You have to park, and you have to walk like 2 miles to the coast. And it was originally this fort, and then it was used by smugglers. And then, it's like right there on the coast. Vikings came to that coast, but that was before. I think it's like, it's one of the oldest foundations or one of the oldest churches in England. It's like goes back to like the year 632 or something for an established church. It's so old. And this guy, Chris Halton, I don't know if you've ever watched his stuff. It's called Haunted Earth. And he's on YouTube, but I have watched that episode over and over and over again, because he said in the daytime, and it's just a square church. It's just really, it was in Victorian times, it was used as a barn, and it's just been there forever and ever. And it's like, it's inside, in the daytime, you feel perfectly calm. Everything's fine. I mean, it's just beautiful. But as soon as the shadows start, as soon as night comes, or the sun starts to go down, then it takes on this really evil atmosphere. And I mean, you should check him out. You can search him on YouTube as Chris Halton. He's gone to so many places that I have to move there. It's like I'd have to live there to get all the spots that he's been to, plus the ones that I know about. But
Yeah.
Alyne, didn't Derek Acora, is that his name?
Oh my God, yeah.
Most Haunted do a lot of those in England.
You all remember Derek Acora from Most Haunted? The guy. There was he was like the blonde hair guy. They freaked him out on, they faked him out on they always thought he was lying, or two of the people, the historian, there was a guy named Richard who did their history, and some other guy who was like a parapsychologist. So he was always very skeptical, but they thought that Derek Acora was fake, and so they gave him a fake name. And sure enough, during the episode, right before they started filming, the fake name came up. He's like, oh, I'm this person. And so he got ruined. But yeah, Most Haunted did a lot of those places too. There's just too many to name in Ireland and England and Scotland.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
I mean, I wouldn't move over there though.
No, no. Well,
No,
I don't know.
no.
Maybe.
Not now. No.
No, but Doll Island. What's the place in Italy where they put people who had
Mm,
That's
tuber-
my
what-
bucket list. The
yeah,
top of the bucket list, Pavaglia Island,
that's it.
Pavaglia Island? Yeah.
Hmm.
Venice, Italy.
There's I have so many places that I want to go. I mean, Penn State, Ohio's,
Athens.
the jail in Ohio. I forget the name of it now.
Gettysburg.
Oh, get it. Yeah.
Gettysburg, Penhurst. Uh, I mean, you just all of them.
Road trip.
I
Road
want to
trip.
go. Yeah,
Road trip.
I want to. I want to investigate all the way down Route 66.
Yeah. That's some. Yeah, and you probably now you're getting off into my. I'm nerding out. Because it's like I love the road stories and ghosts on the road and
Oh yeah,
trucker ghost stories and all. But
yeah,
but Dean, yeah, Pavalia Island. No, the first time, not the, well, I guess I had heard of it, but not associated with like being haunted. But then they did it on Ghost Adventures. I think it was
yeah,
Zach Bagans and them that did it, and
yeah.
but the same guy I was just talking
Illegally.
about, Chris Halton, he went there, so he has an investigation of that too, and it was totally different than what Ghost Adventures did. So, even Ghost Hunters went there. Everybody went there. That's the thing. It's like, where do you go that everybody's not been?
Yeah. Well,
Because
and so we take a slightly different approach, and Paul, you can chime in on this whenever you want, but I feel personally that energy is what makes the investigation what it becomes. What you put out is what you get back. And so if we bring, let's just say, for example, we go to a jail and Paul and myself go into the jail cell and we talk and however we talk. My grandfather was a cop, so I always have issues at jails. And we can whatever you want to say. We get zero evidence, and then we step out, and my wife and Amanda will go into the room, or if we have a female investigator with us and she goes into the room, you get evidence because her energy changes the room. And I'm a big believer in energy.
yeah, and it's what I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it would make sense, that that some men would not talk to other men, basically, but would some male spirits might be more inclined to flirt with females, I guess, basically, or talk to women
Exactly.
rather
This
than
makes
guys.
sense.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm still upset because nobody's grabbed my butt yet.
So what are you guys have as your go-to equipment that you like best?
I always answer this question the exact same way. My best piece of equipment is myself.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
What I feel, what I hear, what I see, but mostly what I feel. My
Right.
second favorite equipment, my favorite piece of equipment is the S box because I can carry on a live conversation,
Right.
and that is to me really awesome. Paul, I think, has a different answer for that.
I like the Ovilus, and also like the digital recorder because you're asking questions, you don't hear anything, and then sometimes that digital recorder is picking up stuff that you had no clue that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have the
absolutely.
That and I really like the S box too. I like that sense that you're getting those feedback right away.
yeah. Do you guys have a REM pod?
No, we do not have a REM pod. We do have several different types of EMF detectors,
Mm-hmm.
mel meters, and cat balls. All the things that detect the same thing a REM pod does, but we do not have the REM pod itself.
Yeah.
Periscope.
Yeah, we do have a periscope.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a periscope too. Yeah, the REM pod, a lot of times it really irks my nerve because it does not stop. Like when you first turn it on, it has to warm up for a while before it'll shut
Right.
down. They have these different settings you can the levels you can set, the sensitivity levels. So I have to put it like far away from anybody because it picks up energy that good. I'll
Right.
put it in the middle of a doorway where there's no electrical outlets or anything like that. But yeah, I've gotten some good spikes on that before.
Another thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if you were still talking, but another thing that Marcus loves to blind me with is he has a Polaroid camera.
Oh, yeah.
You need to say, I'm going to flash or whatever it's
Oh,
going to be. The Polaroids are good.
Yeah.
Polaroids are
yeah, it's
good
not good.
because
It's not good when it's the middle of the night, pitch black, and all of a sudden, bam, there's a bright light from God knows where in your face.
But I bet you
and then
see a whole lot of orbs after you get flashed.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely
nothing
where
but
I can
orbs.
see orbs. Yes. And now that I brought up the Polaroid, when he was talking about us helping that family that had adopted the brother that passed away, his daughter,
Mhm.
in in that uh in that investigation, I was upstairs with with the adopted mom and her partner, and we were doing questions with the digital recorder and the S box, and I don't remember the sequence, but I'll let because I know Marcus knows what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna let him tell it because he can tell it better than me. Because I still see stars when I bring this up because of that Polaroid.
so, so you were in the room. Paul was in the room with the aunt and her wife, and they were asking questions, and they were getting some responses on the S box. But I was downstairs, and I got the Polaroid, and I was making my way up the stairs. And on film, and it's on the episode, on film, the S box, a voice comes over and says, "Smile." And then it says happy. And Paul repeats that. He's like, that said smile and happy. I heard that. And me coming up the stairs, I did not hear that. And he did not
Mm.
know I was coming up the stairs. And so whenever I rounded the corner and I snapped the picture, all of that is on the episode. And you can see that he definitely didn't know I was coming. But more
Mhm.
so, we didn't put it together until I was building the episode that it said smile and I was on my way with a camera. So looking at it, was it
Which
telling him to
episode
smile?
was that? Yeah, because it knew you were bringing a camera. What
Yeah.
episode is that, Marcus?
That is in season 2. I'll get you that name right now. Just give me 1 second. Go ahead and
Okay.
I'll get with you.
Well,
Okay. Now,
while he's
yeah, because go ahead, Paul.
while he's looking that up, it just we shot that whole night, and like he said, we didn't put that together. That's the whole transpire of what happened, and then a month or two later when he's building that episode, he calls me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you have to see this." So he sends me the video, and I'm like, wow, because it told me smile and happy, and then literally 30 seconds later he's snapping a Polaroid through the door of the bedroom and blinding all of us. But so to me that was one of those wow moments.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. The thing blinking like owls. Yeah. Oh my God. But I tell you, Polaroid. I don't. You can tell me how the results are on that. But I have a manual SLR, 35 millimeter, that I've had since I was like 13 years old. I took it to all the concerts and everything. And I've always said that negative film, the film, if you if you catch it on film and it's on that film, then it's hard to dispute. And if it can't be explained. So I've always thought like Polaroids. My mom, one of the times we went to see Hans Holzer, he was talking about the same thing. He was talking those old this was around the time of the old, when they first came out and you had to pull them out of the camera themselves. He was talking about those being like the best cameras to capture spirit activity on, and that or the 35 millimeter. And he used to stand by, or he did at that time, cassette tape, just magnetic cassette tape. And my mom started doing that in the house, to everybody's later dismay and all the crap that happened. But she was in the house then, and I'm talking, this was like 71 maybe, and she's in there with a Polaroid camera and a regular old cassette recorder, and she was getting EVPs and she was seeing things in the pictures. So that was like way back in the beginning. So I always stand by.
Ed and Lorraine Warren used to use.
Wait, what?
Ed and Lorraine Warren used to use those.
Yeah, they just use the Polaroid camera. You see, yeah, I've seen video of them where you pull it out and it goes and it comes out of the pack, and then you wait for it to develop. That was the only. I mean, when we went on vacation, they had a camera like that. They also had the old ones, the little brownies. But that was like a big deal. We got a new Polaroid. Wow. It was as big as one of those original, video recorders. It was huge, here in Ruby. And that flash was like a metal. It had like I don't know, like the newspaper guys used to use, the big metal thing with the flash bulb. That's what it had when you took a picture. Yeah. I'm dating myself, but Hans Holzer used to swear by that. And my mom was using that. She was actually into all that back then. Before any of this all happened. So I'm sorry, Marcus, did you find what episode that is?
Yes, that is season 2, episode 5. That's called Parker House.
Okay. I think I saw that. So I have to go back and look. I'll have to go back and look at that. That's interesting.
If you go back and look, please disregard my poor camera angles.
Okay. I think you did okay. Now you called something to my attention. No, you did fine. I did look at this. I'm going to go back. Yeah. Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, I was wigging out on the S box during that. Right when all of that happened, I was filming.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, talking, doing the S box session, and it's not all on the episode, but for about 20 plus minutes while we're doing that, my camera angle is pointed right at someone's privates the entire time.
Oh.
Yeah, so Marcus had to use the static camera.
We're done. I'm going to go right on and go look.
Marcus had to use the static camera from the room for that episode because all you saw from my camera angle was the wrong shot.
Were you just not watching what you were filming, or you were like holding the camera and looking around somewhere else?
I was holding the camera. Yeah, I was holding the camera in one hand. The S box, it was in my other hand. And I was really paid attention to the S box because we were getting activity. And I just, in my mind, it was me and the S box and the ladies. And I wasn't even paying attention to where I was filming, apparently.
So his ADHD took over.
Stop it.
Too bad the ghost didn't take over filming that episode like that. No, I'm just kidding you. Right. No, there is a I'll tell you the name of it when I see you or when we talk off of. But there's a video of somebody relating their experiences about seeing something in a swamp, and the camera is set up. You can see he's sitting in a chair, and it's like at a long view. It's like you can see him instead of like zooming up, doing like a bust, the head and shoulders, and getting closer. And he's telling his story, but the whole time he's like fiddling with his zipper on his on his pants, and it's like you can see it's the whole. I'm like, what is this man doing? I can't hear anything about what he thinks he saw in the swamp because he's fooling with his pants. He was just like fooling with his zipper. And so don't worry, Paul. I mean, don't worry. There's worse shots out there because I was like, I can't even
Hey,
watch this. This old man is fooling with his. I don't even know. So it's like speed it up. I don't want to see what happens.
I've never said I was a good cameraman, and I'm working on it. Every episode,
Yeah.
I get better.
Well,
But
now
I'm
tell
just
me.
throwing that out.
What?
Let me ask one more question about the Polaroids. Have you gotten results on them? Have you gotten anything
I
like
have
made you leave?
one.
Like you saw it and you got scared, or just tell me, do you get results with the Polaroids?
No, I've had one picture that we had. It wasn't a figure. It was more of a misty kind of a light
Mm.
that we could not explain. But as far as most of it goes, the Polaroid camera, I have not had the evidence that I would like to get. We still
Mm.
continue to try, but I just haven't had it.
Mm. Yeah, keep trying. I mean, you're going to catch something eventually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like I see a lot of people going through old photos and looking at old family photos now that this is all kind of become. I mean, gosh, you see it on these endless compilations of scary stuff on YouTube. But there's a lot of old photos that will turn up that people took with regular old cameras, and that's where I think you see the really creepy stuff. A lot of people are going back to like Polaroid and real film. At least, I don't know. I mean, how do you guys feel about where paranormal investigation is today? Because it had that boom with ghost hunters and all the TV shows and all. So, how do you guys feel about it and where it's going?
Oh,
Um, well, I'm a little different than the rest of the people here because I really have not stepped into the realm of watching all the shows. I have to admit, I'm not a person that has watched a lot of the shows. So, as far as where it's going now, I really can't answer. All I can say is that I know several years ago there was a huge hype around all of this and people were drawn to it. And I've always been fascinated. I've always, thought that there was something there that I just couldn't explain, but I wanted to explain it. So to me, it's just about the technology that came out in the last few years has allowed us to be able to do this and to say we have this evidence, because it's there, not because we made it up, because I was there to see it myself. So I think some of the older shows, from what I've heard, they dramatized stuff and made it seem way above what it was. And I think as we move forward, not just us, but I think listening, on the internet and stuff that I read, where people are saying that they're going back to the roots and just doing and not trying to overdo it. And that's where I think we're the good niche because that's what we've done from the beginning.
Well, they need
Uh, if
because
if
everybody
that
was
if that made sense,
It does because I'll look at, I mean, everybody with a TikTok account now, and you can get these filter effects, and you can get, it's it's always the same shadow ghost in the background, crossing, and I mean, it's like you'll be looking at it and you'll say, "Ooh, this looks really interesting," and then suddenly you'll see that same, whatever. I mean, just stuff.
right.
Everybody's got a camera now. Everybody's got, the whole thing in their hand now to do all kind of effects and film and all that stuff. So much out there is just, and I think it did a bad disservice, at least not the show so much as everybody else, like for instance Franco TV. He's running around out there, and I thought he was onto some stuff, but he's nothing but, I mean, it's entertainment, really. And everybody claims they see a ghost, or they've got this, and it's it's all over, and I think it just takes away from it, because it is a field of study, and it's a scientific
Yeah.
field that it's not always something that responds to scientific inquiry, but when you do get evidence, there is science involved. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it just cheapens it when you can go on TikTok, and make the ghost in the background and all this and get a million clicks, or a million hits on that. So, but what do you think, Marcus? I mean,
I agree with your statement. And so what Paul said is 100% accurate. From the beginning, we have been 100%. What you see on our show is what happened, as it happened. And that's just the way that we're going to keep it. It's a fine line, I'm finding, to make science entertaining. So, yeah, of course we want people to watch our show, because we want to share our findings. Of course, we'd like to have a big TV show and get paid to do this. That'd be amazing. But that, ultimately is second to the honesty for me. As far as the field itself, I mean, there's new things every day in the medical field. So who's to say that there's not going to be at some point new things every day in the paranormal field, whenever we really truly meet science head on, and we can say, this is a science experiment, and it can be repeatable. But unfortunately for us, we can't control the other side. So we can't say, hey, we're going to do this experiment again and we need you to repeat it, and have them do it. So,
right.
that's where science looks at us as a pseudoscience, because we do have a lot of non-repeatable experiments. And in my opinion, the TV shows and the hype and everything, while they did some things that I would say were probably not true, they also pushed our field light years beyond what it was in
Right.
a matter of a few years. Zach Bagans, all he is, for everything that he is, he did things that we have now because of him. We wouldn't have some of the devices that we use now if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Because he brought in engineers and he brought in people and said, look, we want to build this, for my TV show. But it did further the advancement of our equipment. So, while I can say all the negative things about him, I also can't take away the positives.
Well, I've said about them, Zach and the guys, they go to so many, they have their hit, and so Ghost Hunters is too, and they have the opportunity to go to so many locations. So they go, eventually, it's just the law of averages that in those locations they may be faking some of it, or I say faking, or making it more entertaining, but there are real captures that they've got in there, like
That's
they
cool.
actually have, and this is the same for all of them, for Ghost Hunters and for, Ghost Adventures. They just are exposed. If you get to go to that many places, eventually, I mean, you're going to have real evidence. And it's just a shame that, it's overshadowed by all the sensational stuff. But even they sometimes are like, wait a minute, surprised. Like you're going to the Myrtles. Well, I know you remember that the ghost hunters went there and they caught their evidence. Most of their evidence was outside, which is really
Right.
haunted outside. And they had a thermal. I remember Grant and Jason were outside with a thermal camera, and they were like, "Wait!" I mean, you could hear it in their voice, like. They didn't say, the only thing they had to say was, we actually caught something, because they did
Yeah.
catch something on a thermal cam, right? I was like, you got a real capture there. So every now and then, because the law of averages kicks in, like you go to so many places, you're going to find real evidence. And it's just a shame that, people keep piling on top and making, just just, I don't know, just sort of, you really got to dig for the actual, real stuff. So, Dean,
Well,
what do you think?
well, people don't realize you can do a lot of investigations, and most of them, it's really kind of boring if you're just sitting there, waiting for something to happen. And like, people's houses, not businesses and things like that that are known to be haunted. I'm talking trying to help people out doing
Hmm.
investigations in their homes. A lot of times nothing happens at all. You sit there and you think, oh my gosh, there's nothing happening. I'm asking all these questions, we're getting no activity. But when you get home and you go through your EVPs and you start digging through everything for the whole night's investigation, sometimes you have really good evidence.
Yeah,
But it's
I
hard.
agree with that.
It's hard to I show our evidence at conventions and things like that. But to actually put it like on Facebook and all, I don't, because I've had photos, really good photos, apparition photos, stolen from me. And if they steal things like that from you, that's good evidence. And they edit it. And then they put it back on the internet as a fake. What can you
Yeah.
do about it? You can't do anything about it. I've had, at conventions, I've had an album of 35 millimeter pictures. I have a whole album because I've been doing this a very long time. And I had really good apparition photos. Remember, Alyne? I had a dog spirit, actual
Yep.
dog spirit, and somebody stole my photo.
Hmm.
So even if I would have had a copy of it, which I didn't because I didn't know better back then, I couldn't have used it, because now somebody else in the world has my photo.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to kind of watch your own evidence and who you trust with it,
Yeah.
That's-
Somebody stole that right out of your book. Like,
Right.
so
Mhm.
it's better to just, yeah, that's the other thing, people stealing other people's stuff, and saying it's theirs and all. I don't know. It's come a long way, but it still has a ways to go. But I do agree with both of you guys that it is making a circle. Because people can only be satisfied with all of the, oh my God, and screaming and hollering and running around and rocks throwing and, all the stuff that they do that's entertainment for so long. And people who are really interested in, as you guys are, in, the nitty gritty and the science of it, or the actual occurrences, are going to come back around to people who are serious about it. I mean, hell, your YouTube channel, you could be a big hit with that. You don't need to be on a major network anymore, which is another good thing because it's diversified so much that you could be just on YouTube alone could make your own series, which is what you're doing, and it could be like this huge hit. So, and it should be, because I found it very entertaining. But Dean is right, and I've complained. Tell me, Dean, I just sit there and eat snacks and I sit at Command Central and look at the cameras. That's like, I sit over here because, Dean's baking something or something. She's like, I'm bringing snacks or whatever. So I can't sit still that long. I'm not like ADHD or anything. It's just I can't sit still and nothing
My
happens.
wife
And
is the same way.
yeah, it's like I believe things are, it's going on. I know, they're getting it, but it's like I can't really sit there and just unless I'm interacting with my friends, and that's about the whole of it. But it's later when y'all glean out all the evidence that it's, or if it's something really going on, like, oh yeah, I want to go see.
So
Or
yeah, I've found so much evidence in the aftermath that
mhm,
we didn't see or hear in the time, in the investigation,
mhm,
that um that, like, the picture, for instance, that Paul brought up a minute ago, smile and then I take a picture. That's just things that you didn't. It's
yeah,
crazy the amount of evidence that you actually get on an investigation that if you're not paying attention, you miss.
yeah, or
Uh,
conversely, if you planned it, it would be obvious. So
Yeah.
like that was like a totally spontaneous, unplanned event, and there are a lot, there's a lot of that in people like you guys, it's because you don't have to make that 40 minutes of entertaining TV in between, all the commercial breaks and stuff. So,
Right.
but you're right. I mean, it's brought a lot of exposure, to the field, and it's gotten it out there. And a lot of people on the other side of it who were haunted and thought they were crazy and, didn't know what to do. It's helped a lot of people one way or the other.
It gives them somewhere to turn to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives them
Uh,
that. Well, guys,
I
we've been
wanted
talking
to,
for about. I'm sorry, Marcus.
I just wanted to touch on that just really quick.
Oh, okay.
The people that we do help, that believe they're crazy. Um, that's a sense for me. That's a sense of duty that we need to make sure that we help, because mental health is a big issue for me, and I want to do all I can to make sure that the people that need the help get the help.
Mm-hmm.
We use our name, Spirit Guides, to
Yeah.
raise money all year long for different causes. Last year, or 2023, still this year, but in 2023, we helped raise over $100,000 for Maze Mission, Boy Scouts, Mad Hawk Ballroom, Whistle Stop, all these different organizations that help people.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's awesome.
we're really proud of that. That's something that while we do enjoy our investigations and we love shooting our show, we help people. We really do help people, and that is a big deal to me. I really am proud of that. So, and I'm proud of Paul. He may not believe everything I believe in, but he does keep me grounded. And if it wasn't for him, everything would be a ghost. So, I
That was a
appreciate him.
dust bunny. That was a dust bunny. It was not an orb.
That's
So,
that's
I
being with me.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it's a fairy. It's a. I don't want to appear to be that. No, actually, I mean, I'm pretty good to have. When it's like Dean did have a fairy haunting. She did have a lady that saw little bitty people. What she said was little, right, Dean? And they were riding around on little motorcycles, and they were in her house doing
Mhm.
things, watching TV with her, and all that. And I'm like, and she's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I think you've come across your first fairy haunting, is what I think. She's like, well, what should we do? And I'm like, nothing. Nothing. I said, if they're real, which they are, you don't want to do a damn thing. Let them stay there because they're there because they want to be. And if you go in there and you try and drive them out, then, there's centuries of lore that'll tell you exactly what's going to happen to you if you try and drive them away from where they want to be. And,
Yeah, they're coming
so
home with you whether you like it or
yeah, I
not.
mean, so when you said in the beginning you were talking about a troll, it doesn't. It's not something like oh, listen to him. No, I mean, those things are real. There's a kernel of truth, like at the root of every folklore, every legend, and there's
Absolutely.
even. I mean, people. There is a YouTube channel called the Fairy Podcast where people have real life relate their real life experiences today in the 21st century. And so that was one that Dean had, and I was like, just leave it alone. I don't think she didn't seem crazy, and they just came out of nowhere, Hundine, and she started to notice them, and they were
Yeah.
being helpful, like little house brownies. So
Mhm.
I heard all that, and it was like, oh well, that's what these things do, so that's what that is. And I said, just leave it alone. Tell her if it becomes something else becomes a problem, like there's some other entities that are drawn to it or whatever, then maybe, but otherwise leave it alone. Because a mad fairy or a mad gnome, people
Yeah.
laugh, but it's
Oh,
true.
yes.
And they just think we're
Absolutely.
crazy, but it's like, okay, all right. But there's whole centuries of lore that tell you differently. But the other thing that you do is your ballroom dancing, right, Marcus? That
Yes,
was
yes, that's
segued into
correct.
that. Yeah, Marcus is a ballroom dancer. That's the first person I've ever met that does professional ballroom dancing.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, he does. But
Yeah.
that's something else that you have a passion for, isn't it?
Yes, I've been a world competitor since I was 15 and a professional since I was 18. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but I do turn 29 again this year.
Oh, okay.
So,
46.
so, 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 no, I'm not 46. I'm 44. So,
Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys are just, little youngins.
I've reached the 50 plateau. I'm 51.
Oh,
yeah, he's got a little bit of time on me.
I refuse to
yeah,
admit to anything. I'm not going to admit. I'm not.
yeah.
Look, I'm old enough to be a gypsy saint among the gypsies. So, and you have to look that up. Yeah, you got to be a certain age, and then you become a saint. So, a living saint. So, I am a living saint. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I'm going to Google that.
I'll tell you later.
So,
I'm old.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been a ballroom dancer since I was 12, and I started competing at 15, and it's something that really, because I was very awkward as a child, and I was very socially stifled, and so that was something that really allowed me to express myself in an artistic way, and now I use that along with spirit guides, the name spirit guides too, and the team to help raise all that money every year. I mean, that's, and I teach and I coach and I compete and yeah, I've been all over the country with that.
That's wild. I mean, if you see me dancing, guys, I'm drunk. Make me go home. I cannot. I cannot dance. I can't do it. My mother and father were they were young in the 40s. Well, they're both gone now, but they did the jitterbug and all that when it was, and my dad would look at me and my brother like, how could you you can't even, you're falling over yourself and you can't even keep time. And it was like, yeah. But if I get drunk, I know exactly I could ballroom dance with you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's like, but no, take me home. Because usually it goes from that to like, oh my God, I'm drunk. But anyway, I just thought I would throw that. That's really interesting. That's not something you hear every day or that we meet every day. So
I said something to a guy the other day and he wrote it down. He said, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to quote you. I told him, I said, I like folks to notice me. And if you want folks to notice you, you got to be interesting. And so here I am.
Yep. There you are. You going to go on Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah. Not quite that good, but so the levels in dance, the levels are the highest level you can be is a master's division, and then there's a division 1 right below that, and then it counts upwards 2, 3, 4, 5. And whenever I stepped away from the ballroom world, I was a division 1 dancer, so I was almost a master's dancer.
Wow. Well, you do a lot better than me. So, and I admire that. Look, you can be. Go on, Paul.
He's a local Dancing with the Stars. They have a thing here called Mad Hot Ballroom where they do basically Dancing with the Stars, where they pair a professional, semi-professional dancer with local business owners, and he's partaken in that several years and won a couple of times to raise money.
Well, I admire that because I always wanted to dance, but I never could. No matter, I guess, unless I don't know. I'm like you were when you were little, kind of like, socially not participating, just observing. Yeah. So I know where you come from. Well, no.
I'll make you a deal. And whenever you get us in, where was that, Paul? LaLaurie Mansion?
Oh, LaLaurie.
Yes.
Whenever you get us in there, I'll teach you how to dance in the kitchen.
They have a room that's a ballroom in there. They have a room that was a small ballroom. Yeah. Better. I don't know what they use it for now, but I know that when the house was built, they had a ballroom on the bottom level. That's where they did all their socializing and received all their guests on that ground floor. level. So, and they did their living upstairs. So I don't know what they're using it for, but
I'll teach
I
you a
don't know.
foxtrot.
I tried. Oh my God. Be there with the Polaroid camera because I don't think so, Dean. What do you think? I guess I
Uh,
got to lose my low center of gravity.
I'll
No,
be
no,
there
no. You
videoing.
just you trust me. I can teach anybody.
Oh Lord. My dad, I can hear my dad saying, "Yeah, good luck." Well, guys, it's been great having you on, and I appreciate you being our guests, and I hope you'll join us again. And yeah, I'm going to look into several things over here for you guys.
Yeah, for
Paul,
sure.
I'm gonna see what I can do to get you guys into some areas.
Yeah,
And then I
get me
am
to that
working.
southeast part of the state, please.
You
It
don't know
doesn't
what you're
matter.
asking for.
It doesn't care. I don't care. I just want to go there and hunt. Yes, anywhere that you deem necessary.
Okay. Some cemeteries too, I guess, huh? And well,
Oh, for
I'll
sure.
talk to you guys about that because maybe you can film some of your episodes. Well, I will seriously see what I can do and be in touch with you guys about that. Or if you just want to come and hang out and then we can go around to haunted places, that would be good too. So after the holidays or in the new year, yeah, I'll let you know for sure. But if anyone is listening who needs your help or wants you to come and do, an investigation or thinks they need it, how do they get in touch with you and find you guys?
The best way would be on Facebook if you search our name, Spirit Guides, and tag it LC at the end. So it'd be SPIRITGUIDES LC. Then you can send us a message. That'd be the easiest and fastest way to get to us.
Okay. And then they can
Or they could,
watch. Go ahead.
yeah, or they could go to our YouTube channel and
Hmm.
message us through YouTube as well.
Yeah, they could.
With
I was just going to say, and not only that, watch all of your episodes and go there and like and share as well.
Yeah. And, I encourage everybody to definitely go watch for sure. But, not just because we get watches out of it, but because if you are interested in it or you do have an issue, you can see through our shows, you can see we're very respectful of people and their property. And we received a letter of commendation from the mayor of Lake Charles for what we do. And, we absolutely take you seriously, and we will help you some kind of way. We will help you.
Good. And you do get into some really interesting, kind of off the beaten track places. So yeah, it's definitely worth catching up. I'm watching your new season now. So, Dean, you got anything to add?
No, we'll be watching you guys, and hopefully we can get together. New
Yeah,
Orleans.
because you're closer geographically to where the guys are. So you're over
Yeah,
there near Lafayette. So, yeah. So then I'll be seeing you on YouTube too, and can watch you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be good. All right, not me though. I'm behind the camera. All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we've got good things coming that we could get you involved in 2024. So we'll definitely be in touch with you for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, y'all
Thank you
have a
so
great
much for
thank you.
holiday
having us.
season. Thank you, Paul,
Thank you
for,
for
for
having
joining
us.
us. And you come back and we'll do it again. I love talking about all this stuff.
Thank you,
That
guys.
sounds
Absolutely.
like fun. Thank you.
Oh, and we will
I'll,
be having your friend Bill Thompson on as a guest
yeah,
soon. Yeah,
I realized when you said that, I was like, Bill Thompson. We were going to have him last week, wasn't it? But he got sick.
yeah,
Didn't he get COVID or flu? I don't know what it was. What was it, Dean?
yeah. It's the flu, but
Yeah.
no, I think I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, he was sick, so he had we're going to reschedule him. But when you said Bill Thompson, I was like, oh, and I watched that episode and then I realized, I was like, that's him and he's going to be our guest in the new year. So,
Right.
That's
but
awesome. You tell him I
yeah,
said hi.
I definitely will. Maybe one day we can get all y'all on here and y'all can talk. So, but thanks again for being here and just have a good holiday season and we'll be in touch with you guys.
Definitely. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you all so much.
Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
thank
Thank you,
y'all.
Paul.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you. Good night.
Bye.
All right. All right.
That's
That was a
awesome.
great show. And I think we'll have them back, and it looks like something that we could do in the new year. That
Yeah.
would be good. We can get the guys over here to experience New Orleans safely
Yeah.
and get you. I can't wait to see you be on their show. That'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Definitely get out there. Yeah. So everybody, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm still getting used to the program we're using, so I sound like an idiot, but I'm sorry. But Dean will tell you I always do. So. So anyway, but thank you again for listening. If you like what you hear, leave us a like, subscribe, share our video. We're growing our channel, and all of you listeners, you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back in the new year with more great guests. We've got some lined up, and Dean's working on some good ones. So what do you say, Dean?
Yep, I'm ready for the new year.
Ready for it too. So, well, I'm going to say good night. Good night from the Supernatural Substation. Say good night, Dean.
Good night, all.
Good night. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Yes,